H yellow. Quiet down, everyone. Where the hell is Grib?
Hey, shut the front door, everyone. This is me, Mike Grib 8, with Evan Zamir. And this is the best damn NBA draft podcast. Period. Featuring my all the top PPO from NBA draft Twitter consensus big board that I could convince to do this. Featuring Alex, Chuck, and Tank, Nick, Matt, Eli, and Fi Eyes, plus Roth and Wave with appearances by Avi and many more.
And now your hosts, Mike Gribanov and Evan Zamir.
Or is he a 5?
I think 5.
He's a big. Like, he's a 5 who might be able to play next to another 5 in the way that there are double big lineups.
See, I think I would like almost like argue, like, for me, I would take the stance sort of the opposite of what I do for point guards, which is like, for these guys, if you're a 5, like, the defense really matters. Like, if you're a 4 or 5, unless you're just a otherworldly shooter, it's really hard for me to look past like the defense. So I don't know. I haven't watched him, but like that's what I'd be wanting to.
But I just feel like if you're big enough and you're like you have like you're not a stiff like Chuck said, I think like you're gonna be like okay on defense, as a big.
I don't know. I've seen James Wiseman.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right.
I mean,
He's kind of a
again.
stiff, and he, like the injuries. I think if he would like if he didn't get of all the injuries and he played like at 24, 25 like right now, how like do you think he'd be terrible? I think the offense is where he's terrible because he's like a turnover machine. He's like an Eddie Curry type.
Steinbach knows how to play basketball in a way that
exactly
never knew how to play basketball.
But like Sabonis is pretty like bad, right? Like, so what's the difference?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, yes.
Sabonis is a good player overall.
Şengün is not a good defender. I don't think.
No, but his team is like the 2 seed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's like it's like, are you building around this guy? Is he so good like that he's gonna be worth doing that, or is he just a big you bring off the bench for like a change of pace, or is he a starting 5 like in the NBA? Like, it's you got to be of that archetype. You got to either be like, I don't know, like
I think it's more about not being able to shoot, which I don't know about his jumper. But what's it called? You could only have one non-shooter on the court in the NBA, if that.
Exactly. I mean, absolutely.
And that will soon be 0. I mean, in 5 years, so like, that's gonna, that's where it's going.
Yeah, well, 0.5 maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why, like I said, I'd like to be higher. Like, I'd like to be bullish on him, but I feel that way about a lot of the guys in this tier, where I'm just like, there's just some clunkiness.
I'll say this. I think what's it called? Sometimes coaches, because it's easier to like draw plays and execute plays with spacing, but I don't think like the type of spacing that shooting provides gives it as much like pure value to like on the PPP scale as some people think. So I do think what's it called? Non-shooter types, or like like Isaac Okoro or Justice Winslow, even when he wasn't hurt, statistically have shown that they could bring value. And watching play, I think some of those guys are kind of underrated. And I've kind of been like a little bit pushing that agenda that guys like that get too much slack, and you could get away with playing like a wing like that in a lot of situations, almost all situations. And provided they're good enough at other stuff, and like Andre Roberson is a good example also. Of course, that class.
Yeah, but they gotta. Yeah. But it's like maybe you can play one of those now. I mean, the Warriors have this. Like, it's like you see it constantly, right? It's like you just can't. You can't have 2 non-shooters on the court anymore.
2 is probably too much, but like 1.5, I think could work.
And that one non-shooter's got to be like all NBA defender or something.
Well, yeah, of course they have to offset that value something else. But I think if they do, as I'm saying, like a Winslow, a Coro, Roberts, these great defenders, and they have other things like they're pretty good movement off the ball. That's a big thing I think that could offset it, because if you really help off somebody super hard and really just leave them, they could cut. And if they're a good athlete, they know how to move without the ball. That could bring like pretty easy opportunities. So,
I think ironically that they almost are more likely to be quote unquote playable and useful in the playoffs in the right matchup, because the game is faster and like, or I maybe actually slower, but just like the intensity level is so high. And the reason those guys are in the NBA is because they have the physicality and the intensity level that can translate to that context. And they can like wear down a really great offensive player who's like going at 100, and the what they can take away from that guy to sort of like gum up a game for however many minutes can be very, very valuable in a given playoff game. But over the course of a regular season where, you know, I just think the regular season is a different game that exposes that kind of guy because offenses have it easier than they do in the playoffs.
That's funny because I've
Ironically.
never heard this argument before. I always heard the opposite. So yeah,
Yeah,
but
I know. And like I find myself making it and it's just sort of like spur of the moment. But I'm thinking back to like McConnell on the Pacers in
right.
because most of his value, well, I don't know, too much of
He's
attention.
he's
But
such a unicorn to me, like the weirdest
Yeah.
player in the NBA.
I
Like
just think
honestly,
he's
if I had to
on-style
list like
play.
five guys, it's like he's one of them. Where I
yeah,
don't understand, like it's like it doesn't. I've never understood how he is in the NBA. Like like I get it. I mean, he's super good. It's just hard to imagine you could be this little white guy who can't shoot, and he's just such a good point guard. Like it's a
Well, he's a smart player. Yeah, I don't think it's not. I mean, he's definitely an unusual type of player, but I don't think I understand why he's good or why he's in the NBA.
yeah. I
but
guess
it's just unusual. It's like it's not
It
the
is
typical
unusual, I
route.
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, and he's a guy who is incredibly efficient inside the arc.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
again, in the I really don't think I'm saying this coherently, but like in the playoffs, those inside the arc shots are more valuable because they're closing out harder, to take away threes, and the those shots are going to be conceded, but it's harder on a given possession to score. So if you can guarantee that you can score any way at all, it's marginally more impactful. And like even a guy like a Coro, his numbers have always been very like he's always been an efficient scorer. He just never shoots. And that's why
Right.
like I'm not saying take a completely trash offensive player who's a dog on defense and all of a sudden like you have some sort of turnkey in the playoffs. But it's those like really low usage guys who
Yeah.
can make the shots they take. They just don't take that much, who I
Right.
think can see a little bit of a bump in value.
I think low usage players are really underrated because it takes a certain type of mentality and ability to be a useful low usage player, and obviously they
Yeah.
complement stars who are high usage and need the ball in their hands. So I think recognizing players that have that ability to bring value while not having a ton of usage. I mean that's a kind of obvious statement everybody knows by now, but even outside the defense, but on the offensive end as well, like just moving the ball quickly, setting screens, moving without the ball, like that type of thing. I think is kind of has some underrated value. But just to go back to the thing with the non-shooters in playoffs and everything, I think what happens in the playoffs is teams okay, buddy, teams what's it called, game plan with a lot more precision. So you'll see like teams really actively and purposely like doubling hard doubles off of a guy like an Andre Robertson or a Cora or somebody like that. Whereas in the regular season, there's obviously still some game planning, but it's more kind of on the fly, possession to possession. Guys may like kind of soft, move away from a guy or move towards somebody, but they won't as like hard just leave a guy. But I think that that strategy of like completely leaving a guy open is a bad strategy and is not a good way to like kind of like something that teams do in the modern era and is believed to be like a good way to attack poor shooters. But I think most of these guys, like, they're still NBA players. Like, if you leave Andre Robertson super wide open, he's either going to cut to the basket or, like, wide open spot up jumper. He could still make those. Honestly, a lot of the shots that don't work out in those types of positions, it's because the player kind of brainwashes the offensive player, like the Robertson, kind of like, oh, should I take this? And they're like undecisive.
Yeah, and they allow
Yeah,
the
but if
defense
they're
to
when they're
reset.
wide
Yeah,
open and
yeah.
they confidently take the shot, they make them. They're like, I mean, like I could make those shots, provided enough practice and like everything.
Well,
But yeah,
that's like the Terrence Mann won a playoff game, Grant Williams won a playoff game, that sort of thing. I think it's different like McConnell, going back to McConnell, he's a point guard, so you don't double off him because when
Right.
he's in the game, he's got the ball in his hand, so it's entirely different like
That's a
calculation.
different, yeah, yeah.
And you're not used to guarding a guy who's trying to get to the areas that you're coached to concede. And so it's just this like curveball, knuckleball, whatever, that like other teams like it takes them a long time to get used to it if they ever get used to it,
Yeah.
but for off-ball non-shooters, it is certainly tougher. And I would not recommend like starting these guys in a playoff game, but it's weird. Like it'll be way too much of a tangent, but like
Yeah.
the Pistons, Ron Holland, Asar Thompson, like they have several of these guys that they have ticketed for pretty big roles when they're going to be in the playoffs as a possible one seed. And it'll be a really interesting test case of how well it really works or what the limitations are of it.
One thing I've noticed in the NBA the last few years, it's kind of astonishing, like the amount to which or the extent to which guys can recover, like to close out open threes now. Like it just feels like the defender can basically be uh at the rim and like coming out.
Oh,
And if you don't have a lightning quick release, it's like your shot's gonna get contested. And the only guys who get completely left open are like Draymond, Gary Payton, like guys who just are literally non-shooters, and everybody else is kind of being contested in some form, you know.
well, yeah. 5 years ago, there was a huge switch in the coaching strategy and philosophy that people don't really talk about for some reason. But it was always like preached. I remember growing up, and even like maybe 10 years ago, that you close out with short steps because you don't want the guy like bump faking and driving by you. But about 5 years ago, I mean, it started. I'm sure it was around before that, but like really like 5, 7 years ago, it became more and more prevalent, and now it's like almost I feel like the standard in some ways. What's it called? This teams like hard closeout, and they want to run off, guys
Yeah.
off the 3 point line. And I
Yeah.
think that's like changed a lot of dynamics. Like for example, like 10 years ago, 3 point percentage defensively wasn't really a thing. Whereas now, I think it is something that's telling more so of a defensive, ability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so if this is what we're talking about, what do you all think about Lendeborg? Because out of this group of players, he's the one who has like the best wing dimensions and like the most clear two-way value that's apparent. I maybe apart from Tanner, but Tanner's 6 foot.
Yeah.
The most clear two-way talent that you can observe when you watch him play, in a game. So do you like 7? I think is high for him, but I could be talked into it. What do you guys think of him?
Yeah, I'm a similar position because it's like 7 is like the weak spot of this draft, sort of. But I mean, he's clearly really good. He's probably the best. Him or Cam are the two best players in college basketball this year, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess Peterson is up there too. I mean, all three of them. But just worry about 25-year-olds. He's in his prime right now. Like, literally starting his prime
He's
as a basketball player.
25.
He's
He's
no, he's
it's like
23, but
he's
he'll be
almost 24.
24
Yeah,
when he plays his first NBA game.
7 would be like, I guess my thing is like, I think I would have had him late first, early second last year, probably late first.
Yeah, I had him in the teens last year. I really
Yeah.
liked
So
him.
you were already higher. So like,
Yeah.
I'm moving him up, but I'm always, it's like, I don't want to get caught up. I mean, sometimes I made mistakes, like, and everybody else was right or whatever. Um, I get excited by this. Like I'm kind of biased towards like Draymond Green, but then I see like Jarris Walker. There's so many of these like guys
yeah.
like this that you're excited about, and it's such a kind of tweener archetype. It's just hard to be that guy. Like,
I think Yaxel moves better than Jarris does for what it's worth, but I
Yeah.
guess they're like the same age. But still, I think he moves better than Jarris does.
Jarris is younger, I think. Yeah, he is younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's sort of like, is he going to shoot? I mean, a lot of it really does hinge on like, is he a shooter? Is he a bit? Does he end up being like a big, or is he a wing? Like, what
Yeah.
you
The
want
other
him?
thing,
Hopefully, he's a wing, but I
I'm
don't
kind
know.
of optimistic about the shot because of the kind of the trajectory where I remember like him and JUCO, he was like D2 JUCO, I think, if I remember that right. But yeah, it was completely like, just he was like Steinbeck kind of in D2 JUCO. But yeah, now like what I saw a little bit this year, he does look like a much better shooter. But I'll say, what's the Michigan coach, Dusty May, is it?
Yep.
He's
Mhm.
like he's kind of like Samson, he's like a guy who's gonna inflate your stats for sure, especially for like guys like bigs that could pass a little bit.
Yeah, because I guess we didn't see Mara. He's not
Oh
listed in
yeah,
this, right?
yeah,
And
that's
the guy, I mean, I think what's the other guy who's underrated? Morez Johnson. I think he's
oh yeah,
underrated, but he's
Mm.
not listed in this tier as
yeah.
either. But it's
I
okay.
worry about his feel for the game, Morez, but he's yeah, like a beast. That
Yeah.
one, yeah,
I'm kind of a sucker for that, like again, clear physical talent and you can score efficiently. But I agree. Like there are levels to it, obviously, in terms of how much of a role you can ultimately fill on a team. But
right.
I really like watching him play.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I always liked him, but yeah, yeah,
But like, yeah, it like if they played Duke, I would think that he would outplay Gungba. Like if they played Duke in the Final Four or something, that's what I would expect to see. But I
mm,
could be wrong.
they're different. He would like beat him for putback or something like that for sure. But
Yeah,
I don't know, outplay him is like because Gangba like he's like quick, like like mentally, he might make like
yeah,
some quick
yeah.
things.
No, I agree. This is just
Hey,
this is where I'm at right now. That's all.
so I assume we're gonna go to the higher tier, but like
Yeah, let's move to the next.
getting before just
Oh,
while you're on here, like getting back to the question about this draft, because I've heard the same thing where it's like this is a it's like such an amazing draft, but like this is the tier where there. So are we like kind of underwhelmed where everybody else is seeing this tier as like amazing, or do they have different players here than we
Well, I
do, or
think
like what's the
first of all, I think when most people say generational draft, they're really only talking about the first five picks most
it's
of the
not just
time.
number one. They're talking about like,
but I've heard it's deep. I've heard it's like super
I
deep.
know. I I think it's still early enough that like the vultures haven't circled. Like I don't think the
right,
bloom is
yeah,
off the rose of a lot of these
Yeah,
guys. And so
yeah.
I think that's it has a lot to do with that.
I think it's like the three guys and then a lot of interesting point guards is my sort of how I'll remember this
yeah,
draft, is
like
what I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And like last year, I mean last year's draft is looking really, really good. But like the interesting players in that draft were like Queen and Murray Boyle. So instead of being point
yeah,
guards, they were these like undersized bigs, and how would they look and everything. So it's every draft has its own story, but I liked that class a lot because I can tolerate weirdness or funkiness or like tweenerism in your game if you are like 6'7" and productive in college. I'm just like, you'll figure it out. Whereas with these guards, there's a real question, to me at least, as to like how much rope are you even going to get in the NBA when you're going into an established offense? But we had that conversation already.
yeah. There's just so many like other players that are super good at that like
Right.
size range, like 6 foot to 6 foot 3, just in the world. Like you look at like the top European players, like some really good guards over there that could barely get on an NBA court, like a Mičić or Shane Larson or somebody like that.
Right.
Also,
Right.
for what it's worth, I think I'd have Amari Allen in this tier somewhere.
Hell yeah,
Oh,
brother.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
with two Amari. I was super high on Mari Allen way back in 15U when I first watched him. I think I had him like top 20 or something. But then he kind of like really disappointed me. He's like a guy who kind of disappears so odd. Like you'll have these like beautiful plays, and then you forget he's on the court for a few games or something.
And
And I
it's
kind of
it's
cold on him.
and like obviously Oates' system is going to juice some stuff as well. So it's still about
Yeah, that's
filtering through the noise. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
him and Kareem Lopez both for me. Not that they're the same kind of player, but they're just like wing sized with some offensive talent. And so that's why I'm just like, well, they should probably be lottery picks or around there. But
I don't know. I got to watch more Allen at Alabama, but Lopez, I don't know. I've been skeptical on what's your sell me on Lopez so I go to
I,
more.
I'm not going to like
Okay,
just
okay.
because it's not that powerful.
Okay.
It's very simple where I'm like, it seems like he can shoot. He has some defensive feel. He's 6'8", he's young, you know, so there's probably something there, but
Do you
it's
like
not strong.
do you like LeBaron over Amari or both of you guys?
I have him about the same, but I'm tempted to rank Allen ahead of him just because I
I have, yeah,
yeah,
I do.
just
I
because
have
I
him.
think that LeBaron I can't get there. Like I I watch him and there's stuff that I like. He's clearly an NBA player,
Yeah.
but he tries to do this like herky jerky Shea like adjacent kind of driving game, and it just never looks that easy. Like I don't see him making things easy. It's just his touch has been like amazing inside the arc. So I can't really argue with the numbers so far. And his 3 point has gone way up too, and he's shooting it much more confidently than
I,
last year. So
I do always like think about like it's sort of like book night. Like I was pretty high on him last year where I thought he'd be like a late first round, and then they come back and then people get super high. Like I could just, the narratives when the tourney comes around, and one of these, it's like somebody's going to be the darling or whatever. Uh, I don't want to get too high. Like, so I don't want to move a guy who I had last year like late first, because I always take into account age, and like maybe I don't think he's gotten like so much better to where I'm like, oh, now he's a lottery pick or like top 10 for me. I mean, it's the same
yeah.
archetype that he was, and I don't know.
Well, and to your point earlier, Evan, about like usage and defense and how that works
Yeah, I
for
was gonna
guards,
say.
like I don't think his defense has been very good this year. And like I
There's no way he's going to be a good defender.
Yeah,
and
he's
so
like a perfect example of my thing with the strength and the body type and
right.
defense. Like, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like Jordan Poole, like it's going to be like that, or Buffkin, or
And
yeah, exactly.
whenever I start thinking about that, it's a like the exact inverse of Quaintance, but the same conclusion where I'm like, I'm fine with the team behind me taking him.
yeah.
I just think it's going to be okay if I pass on him and he goes somewhere else. But if his touch stays this good, then maybe I'll revisit that. We'll see.
And plus, if he really hits, he might get overpaid too. So you
Oh,
got to
for
you think
sure.
about that too. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. All right, you guys ready for the next one? The big reveal. Well, no, the big reveal, I guess, is the first one, but yeah.
yeah. Let's do it.
Okay, well, yeah, just these two guys. Look how much of a drop off 25-33 for Flemings. It's just I gave 30 points to each guy ranked number one, 29 number two, and so forth. Yeah, so pretty big drop off between 5 and 6. I thought that was a little bit interesting. I didn't realize there was such a like clear separation there. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, I think these two guys were pretty expected, pretty consensus. I think I'm not as high on Wilson. Just again, I think like he doesn't quite like read the game as well as like I'd like him to. I know his assist numbers are pretty good. He's athletic. He makes defensive plays. Like statistically, it seems like he's a high field player. But just watching him, at least in the past, I haven't really seen that as much. And then also he has like some awkwardness as far as coordination. Like the shooting, I'm a little bit question about, even though in the college stuff I've seen, he actually kind of impressed me with his touch somewhat. But in the past, he was kind of awkward at times. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think of Wilson, or maybe go to Flemings, whatever you guys want?
You want to go, Evan, or you want me to?
Yeah, I should say I listened to your podcast. You were talking about him, like I think the AC, some of the ACC guys, or maybe it was forwards, but he came up. I think I agreed with like a lot of what you were saying. I guess the guy I'm kind of using as a benchmark for him in some sense is Jaren Jackson, just because I think I like Jaren Jackson more. Um, skill wise, this goes to kind of what Mike was saying. Like, I just felt like neither of them like are necessarily reading the game that well, but like I think Jaren was probably better at that point. Bigger, so like I think Caleb's using his athletic tool, and he's got like great tools. But like to me, like he's a 4.
Yeah.
But he's not skilled. Like I really like he's got a great motor. Um, but in some sense, he reminds me of Harrison Barnes at Carolina. Like a lot of times, it's like dribbling off his knee, or just like
Yeah.
just a any guard is going to take the ball from him when he's dribbling.
Or if
He
you're gonna
can
go really pessimistic, could be Bryce Johnson. It reminds me a little
like
bit
in
of.
transition, he's like looks amazing if it's like an open
I
court or
was hoping we
whatever.
mentioned Bryce. Feels obligatory to mention Bryce on
Yeah,
any sort of like
I
deep, deep,
like
deep,
Bryce.
deep
I
dive.
like
I
Bryce.
know. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
No,
So I
yeah.
I like him, and I'll definitely have him here. And I'm seeing him next week, so I'm like super excited about that. But like I I like a lot like the motor, the energy, the athleticism. could be a great defender, but I also worry that he thinks it's a little bit like Jabari Smith Jr.,
Mm,
where
Mm.
it's a little bit of like, I don't think you're that guy that Kuminga has this too, like for sure. Like it's like I don't know what you think your role is gonna be, and I'm worried that that's gonna be an issue. Like he thinks he's something, and I don't think he's
Like he
that.
should be focused on defense, but he like,
Absolutely, like connector, defense, get your shot, figure that stuff out, rebound, all that other stuff. Be the second or third guy, but I have this feeling like he's wants to be the guy.
yeah. I'll
well, I
say
don't know.
in A, sorry, real quick. In
Go ahead. Go
AU,
ahead.
he played with the Boozers, Caden and Cam, and they had a super like maybe the best AU team ever.
I would
And
imagine.
yeah, well, no, like literally, like they won. Like, well, I don't know how familiar you are, but yeah. And he came in like in the middle of the season and joined the team. And I thought there would be like some problems, but he fit pretty well. I gotta give him that. He did fit like better than I imagined.
Yeah, I don't think he has like the Kuminga gene of like I want everything to revolve around me on
Right.
offense, and I think I'm an offensive star. I just think that when you the other thing you mentioned about like dribbling the ball off your knee, like he does so many. He probably is better at doing like bad player stuff than like any player I've ever scouted. It's just like the stuff that he tries, I'm like, what are you trying? And then it like goes in, and
Yeah.
I'm just like, what
Yeah.
I what and so that's why he's such an interesting guy. And like when I think about this draft, he really sticks out as someone that I don't have a ready comp for. I think Jaren is like a decent approximation, but Jaren was also like a monster shot blocker, like clearly
Oh yeah,
was going to
yeah.
play five in the NBA.
Bigger, yeah.
And what interests me about Caleb is how he's able to dominate on the glass as much as he does. Because normally, if you rebound like that, it's because your feel is very high and you can really read the ball off the
Right.
rim and you can position yourself. But most of Caleb's game does not indicate that he's getting it done through feel. So is
I
this
do think I think he has feel, but it's just like very like unusual and it's like purely like intuitive. It's not like
Instinct, yeah,
yeah, it's instinctive. It's not like processing. You know what I mean?
yeah. The
maybe?
instinctive player versus the decision maker,
The processor. Yeah, yeah.
But that just makes him such an
He's almost
interesting
like a
player.
Dennis Rodman. Like you'd want him to almost be like this,
Well, the guy he
just
reminds me of is Alfaru Camino in Wake Forest. Play like that.
That's I mean, I'm laughing because I went to Wake Forest when Al Farouk was there.
Oh, okay.
So I like I don't know. I can't I'm really reaching
he
back.
would have been interesting as like in the 90s, like a McDice or like
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
90s power forward, like
Right,
just a
right,
pick
right.
and roll guy. And but that doesn't really exist anymore.
I was
So it's
gonna
kind of
say,
like he has to make decision. Like I just worry about that aspect where you're in the playoffs and is he gonna are you like I don't think you're ever gonna run for sure, not gonna run an offense through him. So it's like he has to kind of fit around
Well,
and be that guy who can connect and
yeah, I mean, I think the sell on him is like the mega role, like Aaron Gordon, Ananobi, that
Aaron
kind of guy.
Gordon though. Aaron Gordon was kind of like a genius. Even back then, like also another Bay Area, like actually different from Kid. Like he was a smart guy.
right,
Like
right.
he I think he was a genius. Like even at Arizona, he it's interesting comp because in some sense like he did the thing that I was saying like I worry about Caleb. Like he tried to be the guy right for
Right,
Orlando and
right,
it didn't
right.
work. But he's clearly an amazing role player. So yeah, I don't think Wilson has all that decision make. Like I think Gordon is much smarter,
Okay.
basically.
That's I mean, I'm not
That's my concern.
disagreeing. That's
That's like I
interesting
think
though.
it's a good comp otherwise because Gordon, great athlete, all the other stuff.
I don't know. Wilson, I think he has feel for the game. I don't think he's like necessarily like a bad like unsmart player or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think he's more of like a guy who's gonna end up like not like you said, like kind of with Gordon not working out maybe early on because the team or he thinks that he is gonna be an offensive star or whatever. But then eventually, if he gets a good fit for a team, he's gonna be like an all defensive type of player, like Amino was or like Gordon ended up being. So yeah, you guys are kind of talking me into Wilson now because like you Chuck or I think that was you who said that.
Mhm.
Really wasn't sure like what to make of him quite yet right now.
I mean, because it's sort of like even if you don't, it's like having said all this, like I still have him 3 or 4 because like I'm definitely not going to drop him below this tier. So
Yeah. And I
I
think
have
you go ahead.
concerns, but they're
Mhm.
kind of concerns that like why I don't think he'll be a
Superstar.
5-time All-Star or
Yeah,
whatever.
well, Grib, I think your point about his touch is correct because I don't. Again, the shots he takes so much of the time are so ill-advisable, and like they go in so regularly that you would just think in the right system with the right coach, where you smooth some of that out. I do think there's a better shooter in there too. That's why he's so interesting. I think when I submitted my board to you, I had him like 2. But
You
that's
did,
more
you
just
did.
like I want to see how it looks. If I go into a game thinking this is the second best player in the draft, is he like going to let me down? And I don't know. I think 4 is probably like the best spot for him, but his offensive ceiling is something that like his teammates are going to have to unlock for him, and normally you want to take those players, those lead offensive players at the very very tippy top. So I can see why he's fourth. He's such an outlier. Like I don't there's just no like I think if you look at this decade, you can make an argument that like the best perimeter athletes to enter the league this decade are like Edwards, Amen, Flag, and Wilson. I think you could say those are maybe the 4. I mean, Kuminga's not far off from that, by the way. But just like if he's that rare athletically, then maybe 4 is too low. I don't know.
I don't know if I quite put him there. I think he also I really like his athletic development because like ninth, 10th grade, he was kind of flat-footed, a little bit stiff at times, and he's really grown in that level. But I still wouldn't put him like. I mean, I understand he's taller, so it's like a different scale,
Mm-hmm.
but still like Amen and even like Edwards, I think are a little bit like another tier above.
Could be. It's just something I've been kicking around in my head. That's all.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mhm.
What's Evan? I was gonna say, you want to make the like your boy Ibuka? How do you say his first name? You want to make like
Oh,
a
Buka
sell,
Okori.
sell him?
Oh, I mean, he's like third on my stats ranking or something like that for freshman. Like,
Well,
so
your
it just
stats love point guards. Your easy things,
I
or is that
I think I
different?
liked point guards and bigs, like, but I usually discount. I try to discount. So I'm not gonna have him third, but yeah, like I think he's just like a natural born scorer and like ball handling, like just very good. Uh, finishes with both hands, like super creative finishes, and he's just like he gets to the rim.
Hmm.
Um, and he's been super consistent.
You guys have mentioned Lillard a couple times with references to guys. I don't want to now reference Lillard again for Corey necessarily as a comp, but like Corey, I just think moves on the court so smoothly, but
Yeah,
with still athletic juice. I think among Fleming's is more explosive than he is, but really with every other guard that we've discussed, I think Corey moves as well or better than them on the court. And I just wanted to mention that.
yeah. I mean, I think initially I was thinking like Schroeder, kind of reminded me a little bit
Oh,
of that, but I think I don't know what Schroeder would look like in you know Stanford, but yeah, Corey's just like really, I don't know. He there's something like he's I think he's pretty impressive. And he might not even declare. Like I don't know. I've talked to people who they don't think he'll come out, but I actually posted something on Reddit about him, and his dad like chimed in. Like, so I don't know if this guy was pretending to be his dad, but I have his age. Oh yeah, Mike, I talked to you about it because one of the things that's
okay.
not certain is how old. And there was this whole debate on Reddit, and his dad is like, no, he's a year younger than you're
April
thinking.
7.
So I
Yeah.
think it's going to be a big deal, like even for me, like whether if he's a year younger than I think he is, then for sure I will have him in the lottery.
No, he's April 7. I got it from a like aunt gave it to me. He's like a former player, and he
Yeah, I mean, then I
So
like my
he's
only
18 this whole season basically until, and then
yeah,
April. Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So my only reservation was like he's kind of old, but um Yeah, he like, you know, sometimes guys have it. I feel like he's like one of those guys.
What's called it's surprising to me because again, I barely watched college basketball this year. So I remember him from like high school. He was a really good like and I thought he was underrated at the time. I didn't realize like he was this good. But I didn't remember him like as a scorer. I remember him more as like a tough kind of defensive guy who, could run the offense well, hit some shots, but I didn't see like a high usage. I thought you guys would be like, going like the Cason Wallace type of route as far as like, praising him or selling him.
Well, I think that if like so I have no idea if he's on any mocks or anything,
A little
but
bit.
I feel like if Christian Anderson is who I like is I don't know where he's being mocked, but if it's in the 20s, I feel like a Corey for sure should be in that wherever Christian Anderson is, he should be there or higher to me.
Right. No, I don't disagree. I'm not the biggest Anderson guy, but like yeah, I think that's right.
I just love Anderson's shooting. I think he's a better offensive player from what I've seen of Corey in high school and stuff.
He looks like a pro, like and maybe it's because he played in Germany or whatever, and like there's some like I hear like oh he plays a pro, but he seems like he's like kind of like a pro already.
No, like he is a very smart
Yeah,
player
very
who is like
mature.
very good at shooting and passing for sure.
Which
It's
is
just
good,
yeah.
important.
Yeah.
He's just
It's
very
just a matter
solid.
like again,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. I struggle to conceive of him playing 30 minutes a night in the NBA unless he's just like averaging 25. And maybe he can. I don't know.
Yeah, most of these guys will like we're gonna be disappointed. Like I like Kyra Lewis, whatever, and it just maybe his injuries or
I
whatever.
really
But
liked
yeah,
him too. Yeah.
yeah, you never know.
That's the guy that kind of like I stopped caring about body mechanics as much. So, like because like he would just move so smooth and like he had all the
Yeah.
knee
Yeah,
bend
it's a
stuff.
good comp. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Fleming, wait, are we gonna talk about Flemings or
Oh, I don't
I'm
know.
just
We talked about him a bit,
I feel like we talked about him. And yeah, we talked
okay?
about a lot of guards. And
He's
we talked,
good.
yeah.
Seems good.
but yeah, here we go. Yeah, I ended up I put Peterson number one just because
Okay.
well, I explained this in the chat, but basically after everybody's boards, it was tied between Peterson and Boozer, and I decided to put Peterson number one just to like make it more entertaining. And he's been killing like recently, and I mean he's just insanely good. And I'll say even going back to high school, I remember like watching in FIBA U16, I think they both played, and I always had Boozer number one, but that was the first time like I watched. I'm like, I think Peterson was probably better than Boozer in that tournament, and it really made me consider, if Peterson isn't in that conversation. Back then, it was also Flag, and later on there was other like events where Peterson legitimately made me question. And right now, honestly, if I had to choose, I would still slightly take Boozer over, but it's super close. And yeah, I think another person in the group, Matt, he said that he's switched to Peterson recently. So technically, his board that I had Boozer number one. So it could go either way. So really, really close with those two, I think. And I do think DeBonsta deserves to be in that tier. So
I,
yeah, wondering your guys' opinions, and also like, what do you guys think of like Flag? Where would you put Flag in this tier?
oh, I'd have Flag one for sure.
Okay,
Um,
even now.
I would
Yeah. Oh
only
yeah, yeah.
the
Right now.
only challenger to Flag to me would be Peterson, and I would probably have Flag over Peterson. The injury stuff is just too tough, and Flag is so big. Like he's going to get so much stronger
Yeah.
and everything that I'd
The,
probably
the
go with
I
Flag.
worry a little bit about the turnovers with Peterson. That's the one thing I'm really kind of watching. Like it's his he turns it over quite a bit, which is a little bit worrisome to me. But I think I'll have DeBonsa one or two and Boozer three actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
You
see
guys
an
both.
I just see between those two guys like I can see an offense running through DeBonsa or Peterson. I I just don't really think Boozer is going to be like the guy. So I would have him three.
Yeah, I haven't made my mind between Boozer and DeBonsa. I mean, they're all really good, but DeBonsa, what's interesting, like your point about an offense running through him, he out of these three, like I don't know, it's not the same thing as Caleb. DeBonsa has such a much more polished game than Caleb Wilson, but like he does stuff on the court that also befuddles me. And maybe it's just because he's learning in real time and adding these playmaking shades to his game, which I think is very possible. But he will have a driving lane and but then go into some weird pivot footwork like skip, and I'm just like, why? Or a lob, and I'm like, well, why did you do that? And it's just
Premeditated. He reminds me of Kobe. Like he like decides before to play. Oh, on this play, I want to
yeah,
make an assist. Yeah.
maybe that's what it is. And
I
he like
I think I've seen like I guess what I would say about him is like I didn't watch him much, you know, high school or whatever. But
Right.
what I did see, I didn't like, and I was like, no, I don't like this guy. And he's actually changed my mind. Like it's pretty rare that I watch a guy and I'm like just completely changed my mind. And I feel like he's he's much more of a uh, I thought he was trying to be like Kobe. Like basically he's going to be the guy who takes the turnaround jumpers and all that shit, the mid-range stuff. But no, now I see it like and you know, I'd watch him, I'd be like, why don't you just try to get to the fucking rim? Like that's what you should be doing. And he's doing a
Yeah.
lot more of that. And so if he's going to do that, and he needs to defend. Like I've seen some stuff, you know, where you're like he lets a guy get, you know, backdoor and like you're like, what the fuck? Like you weren't even watching. Um but I just think that he's got the tool, like the tools are the tools, and he's got coordination and skill that Caleb doesn't have. So it's like it's too hard to pass up for me. Like
yeah.
I can't. I like Boozer, like the IQ, all that stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, I I would my analogy is a little bit like Ant. And I remember people saying like, oh, I don't know, Ant, you know, he's like kind of a kind of similar like idea that he's kind of maybe selfish or you know he's whatever, but it was like now you see like kind of what it is. And I feel like the Bonza could like when he fully develops everything, it is going to be like really special. I feel I think so.
So I'll say, to piggyback off that, understanding that like maybe he wins me over in the same way he's won you over. I still don't think he gets to the rim as much as he should.
I agree. Yeah.
And I also think that he like my this is going to sound like rude, but I don't mean it to be rude. I mean it to be complimentary. He reminds me on as someone having like the best parts of Brandon Ingram and RJ Barrett like in one player. If Ingram were Ingram's height but built like RJ, or if RJ had Ingram's like shot making talent, that's sort of where Dybanza is approaching for me, because I still think at the end of the day, his preference is to take mid-range jumpers, but he's really good at them. But if that is your preference, then it's hard for me to like spend a top two pick, or it would be hard for me to spend a top two pick. My little addendum to that is that his free throw rate is like extremely high. And I think that he, more than any player, going back a few years at least, profiles as getting fouled on landing space jumpers like more than anyone I've seen, because
Sam Thomas.
his stride length is so far. Like he will swing
Yeah.
his leg out so far on these jumpers, and he's getting fouled on fadeaways, which should not happen if you're fading away. But these guys are trying to close out and they just make contact with him because he's off the ground quickly and his body just contorts that way that like I can see that being a real boost to his game, especially if that's the way the game's going to remain officiated. Like I'm not knocking him for that. I just think it's like a dimension in his game that deserves a mention.
I'll see what's it called. His like you're talking about the stride length and like the contortion with the size and length is super special. Like
Yes,
I
yes.
remember a game in high school they played. I keep bringing up high school because that's like the last time I watched a lot of these. I watched the Bounce a bit in BYU, but yeah, the first half they were like down. He maybe scored like 2 points, and I was like, oh, another disappointing game by AJ. And then the second half, he just got by the guy every single time to the basket. It seems like he could do that at will. And like just watching that game, like I really felt like nobody could stop this guy from scoring when he wants to and just get to the rim every time. Because that like special like the stride length, the coordination. So that is really impressive. But I'll say I think that stuff like getting to the rim and getting to spots and what is it? What do they always call it? Advantage creation, quote unquote, with going to the rim. I think that stuff is a little bit overrated at times, and like the way some people like kind of evaluate guys and rain guys and stuff like that. I think people place a little bit too much value into that particular skill set, and I think like kind of some of the like decision making, processing, core mapping stuff, and the attitude and mental kind of approaches you guys talked about is gonna hold them back. And yeah, that's why I'm kind of like at the end I'm still gonna be I think higher definitely on Boozer and Peterson because I just don't know if AJ ever has the kind of mental makeup that I think is so important and is what really carries the really high end value in a lot of you know
Well,
outcomes.
and I also think Boozer and Peterson more smoothly transition off the ball than Dibanza does. And maybe it doesn't matter, but my hunches is that it will. Like I just think that you need to have as much versatility as possible to be a
Yeah,
really great player top pick. And so I like it seems like it should be an easy solve though. Just like take more catch and shoot threes and get that 3-pointer. Like he
but no, it
clearly
doesn't work like
can,
that. Yeah,
but that's the thing. And that's
yeah.
why if I would rank them this way today, it would be Peterson, Boozer, Dibanza. But AJ's he is a very rare physical talent and he is young and you never know. Like he's committed, but yeah, based on what I've seen right now, I would have it this way.
Wait. I thought you had Boozer fourth on the board, or you
Yeah,
changed.
I probably did because I had like Wilson second. Like I
Yeah,
just it's just I'm just saying that out of these three, I this is how I see it right now. I get everything Evan's saying about Boozer, and I do worry that Boozer is like
yeah.
really good
I'm not
power
even sure I
forward.
trust his shot, to be honest. Like it's kind of
Yeah, go
slow.
for it.
Like so
Yeah.
no, I just like I don't know how much I buy that he's gonna be a 3-point shooter.
I,
Which if
I
he's
buy the
not,
three. I buy the shot, but I don't know if it's going to be like super high level. Oh, sorry, I thought.
yeah, no, I'm just saying like if he's not like kind of it kind of depends like how much of a 3-point. Like yeah, he could hit open threes every once in a while, but um I don't know. There's so
Yeah,
many other questions I have about the defense and that archetype that even though I see that, it's kind of like a Blake Griffin or a Kevin Love
Love
with
I
that.
think is a really good one for him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love.
it's
I
it's
think yeah.
it's something in that spectrum, which I mean
But
those are obviously good players.
but I will say that Blake to a lesser extent, but like Kevin Love or Julius Randle or something, those guys like really learn to shoot threes in the NBA. And I am a bit higher on Boozer's like catch and shoot three than you are, Evan, I think. I just think that he's going to weaponize that shot like very early and often in his career. And that will lead to like all the gaudy, like he's averaging 24 and 11 or
Yeah.
whatever, like as a young player. I just think that that means that he will be very good. But I have the same sort of ceiling questions that
Were
you
you
have.
were you guys high on Paolo? Like how would you compare this?
I,
Duke always has these guys for
Yeah,
30
but I
years.
think
Like
Boozer
it's
is
the same
much
guy.
quicker, like smarter. He like
Oh,
yes,
he'll
I
make quick
agree.
decisions. He'll move the ball around. The defense is a little bit concerned considering how Paul turned out. But yeah, like as far as like feel for the game, I think that's a big separator, and that's why like Boozer is like really, really like quick, like as far as like seeing the game and yeah.
Yeah, I was not I had Paolo I think fourth in that class. Not a comparative
okay.
Paolo guy, but and I agree with everything that Mike said. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we had a whole anti-Paulo podcast, remember? Where
yeah,
we talked about
Yeah, I had
yeah,
him.
we
I
did.
wasn't even on that, or I wasn't aware, but I had him third. But I regret. I mean, I guess actually, I don't even know. Because even still, well, I should have had Chet one. I think in retrospect, like I don't know what you guys think, but like, or I'm
yeah.
maybe forgetting anybody else after them.
No.
But I had
J-Dub,
Jabari.
baby. Yeah, you didn't have J-Dub
Yeah,
one out in the
yeah.
bay.
Chet over J-Dub, easy.
Um, that's a whole nother one because I remember with him, I had him way too low. I had him like 23, but I was like very early, like in that January of that cycle or December, in on this guy before he was hyped up.
Right,
You know,
right. Yeah.
it would be like it would basically would be like this. It's like I'm talking about a Corey, and if he now goes like five, or like Sam Presti like takes him like with the seventh pick or something, I'd be like, Jesus, like what the fuck? But
Yeah.
uh yeah, Jabari, I still think like it's like the same reasons I like Jabari are still true. I think he could like defend, he can shoot. Like he's just not gonna be the I
Well,
think like that's a learning point for me is that like he's just not gonna be the hub ever. Like he's a
yeah,
sidekick and
dribbling,
whatever.
passing. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 But Boozer is so much better than Jabari was.
Oh
Way
yeah,
too
yeah, for
much.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, in some processing and all that stuff.
No, like just like overall. Like I think he's like a
But do
way
you
better.
think defensively he could have a bigger impact than Jabari?
Maybe, but probably not. I would say Jabari is a better defender and was a better defender, but it's not
Hmm.
like a huge difference. And especially at the NBA, I don't think it's gonna be like a big difference maker about like as far as like the way we see value like our APM style, Like I don't think that's like something that draws a huge difference between them.
Yeah, I would prefer that Boozer got his buckets in more creative ways because I think
Yeah.
creativity, especially from a big, is more projectable. But like you can rely on him to score in ways that you can't rely on Jabari to score. So like,
Yeah.
so
I think this is going to sound like a weird comp, but in some ways, and again, I'm biased because I'm like watching him now, but like it's like kind of in the way that Jimmy Butler is good. I could see Boozer being good, like a guy who just figures he like knows how to get buckets basically, and like I
yeah.
didn't realize how smart Butler was until he started playing for the Warriors, but like if he can be that kind of guy who doesn't necessarily have to be a great shooter, but like just knows how to score, pass, all that stuff.
I could definitely see Boozer becoming more of a second guy than a first guy, but then he'll be like the second guy on the championship contender. Whereas AJ and Peterson, I could totally see them just be the top guy, but on the 40 win team or whatever, or maybe 50 win, but not a
Interesting.
serious contender.
See, to me, I would see if Boozer's like I think that Boozer is going to be the best out of these three, to your point, Grib, at like regular season wins machine. Like I just he does enough that is additive and good and productive that he will like destroy bad teams like night after night after night after night. Like they will
Right.
have no prayer against him. It's the ceiling stuff that I mean that's it really just comes down to projection and it like do you think healthy Peterson is one of the five best shooters in the world? Because if he is, then he should go number one. And that's, it's what it
If
comes
I had
down
to
to.
bet on one player to be the best in the NBA for like several years, out of all these guys, even including Flag, I'd take Peterson.
You would, yeah.
Yeah.
I do think like we talked about earlier, but like he's one of the only guys here that you're like off ball, on ball, he could be a star.
Right. Yep.
Well, Chuck,
Because
who would you take, Flag or Peterson or who?
it would be between Flag and Peterson, but I would lean Flag just because like as great as Peterson is, I think that the size differential there, like what you mentioned earlier about 6 foot to 6'3". I know Peterson's taller than that, but like the
Yeah.
class of player, he just has more competition in his class. And so, over the long haul, I would take Flag at 6'9", but I can, it's close.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
quite
for
close.
sure. And also,
I
how much do you guys like all this stuff with the drama off court, him missing games, the injury? Any worry about that?
injury maybe, but no. I mean, I think the only thing I've really said publicly about Peterson is that when I've watched him drive, and I don't know if he was already compensating for his leg or
Yeah.
whatever, but he really likes to set himself up for like touch finishes around the hoop as opposed to like really embracing contact. Now,
Yeah.
if he can like dunk and elevate, he'll do that. But I saw him a lot trying to like kind of like avoid or try to get set with 2 feet to go for like a floater or something, and it just kind of looked awkward and it looked like it hurt. Like, and
He's always been like that. That's like his thing.
that's his deal. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that was interesting to me because even I viewed him a little bit as sort of like a derivative of both Halliburton and SGA in sort of movement pattern.
He's
And
not as fluid though. He's not like smooth like that. He's more like
so that and okay, so talk to me about that because I said Dibanza was like the best parts of Barrett and Ingram. I think Peterson is like very good parts of both Halliburton and Shea, but he lacks Halliburton's top end Halliburton skill, and I also think he lacks Shea's top end Shea skill. But he
right.
just might be a better like high volume 3-point shooter than both of them, so it may not matter. But that's talk to me about
Peterson,
how you think he moves.
I think he's more like what people like nowadays think of Kobe as this like master, like footwork guy who like knows everybody's tendencies and like catches guys off guard with the timing. He's kind of like that, and not to say like he's necessarily like super high level like preparation and like knows everybody's tendencies per se, but like just like as far as like with the little timing things and just insane touch and just using that to make these shots that normally would be like super tough and like low efficiency. To him they're like 60% true shooting type of shots.
Mm-hmm.
These like 14-foot off balance back foot off timed leaning weird or like kind of like not fully like biomechanically finished ending your movement almost and you're already starting the shot. And those types of shots like come so easy and like natural to him, and defenders can't just can't catch the timing of it, and he just like uses that to just be unstoppable.
I think it's a little Ray Allen also, like going
Yeah,
back
yeah,
farther,
maybe.
Interesting.
like with
Yeah.
more driving. I mean, Ray Allen was a really good athlete. Like when he,
Yeah, back
early
in
in his career, like he was.
We're all thinking about the Bucks dunk from like
Yeah, yeah, but
2001.
I mean, he had a long career, but like he
Yeah.
was pretty special a long time ago.
yeah in Yukon. Yeah, Yukon he
Yeah,
played.
UConn. I mean, he was.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember he was more like when what's that movie called with Jesus Shuttleworth?
Yeah,
Like
he got game.
yeah, he was more considered like athletic kind of. I mean, he was considered a shooter, of course, but like his athleticism was like a
But
big part of his
he
profile.
was very much like the next in the Grant Hill kind of
Exactly. Yeah.
lineage. But yeah, I so I'll say this: you mentioned that you were like, should we say anything else about Flemings? Um, Again, something that's just kicking around in my head. I'm not like fully committed to it. But out of these five guys, if I were to say like throw size out the window, which obviously you're not going to do if you're actually making a selection, but if you're to say who has the best like dribble, pass, shoot intersection, would Fleming's be higher than like how high would Fleming's rank in that? Where it's just like we'll say driving, finishing, passing, and
I mean,
shooting and touch.
I already think I could see myself having Fleming's 3.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to convince myself that he can shoot. Like, not just statistically, but I just that I buy the shooting off the ball. And I've seen, he takes a lot of open shots. They give him a lot of
Yeah.
open shots. So that's it's like great, but I need to see him hit like tough shots.
Okay. Like
When you say pass, is that like feel and like processing all that? Is that part of it? Because then Boozer is
sure,
pretty high. Yeah, I would
sure.
probably say Boozer maybe one even in just pure that. But then
Mm-hmm.
like you're also counting athleticism on like the drives, right? Because that kind of
Yeah.
in the creativity, like you said. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. It's close.
I just I have been more impressed and with his tape than anyone's tape that I've watched. And with Peterson with the caveat being like he's hurt and he's in and out of the lineup. He's not at full strength. But I just like I agree that he takes a lot of open shots, but it's also so difficult for any college guard to like stay in front of him, and he can stop on a dime
Yeah.
so easily and rise up that it seems like that's just automatic to me in the pros as long as I'm not being fooled by his touch. But like I think his passing is underrated, frankly. I think he is a really good like on the dot in the shooting pocket to those corners kind of passer. and he does it all at like really, really high speeds, which is a lot of fun to watch. Maybe I would like him even more if I could see him play slow and dominate in that way as well. He kind of just has like one speed, and maybe you can be concerned about like long term, is he going to get injured playing that way or something like that? But I I just love his tape. I think he is so good.
What
And
do you think the measurements are going to be?
I don't know. I think he's probably under 6'4" in socks would be my guess,
Oh
like
yeah,
6'3" and a half.
6'3". Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish he were bigger, but he's,
I was
I,
more saying like wingspan. But yeah.
maybe like 6'6". I don't
Not
I
know.
not
think
not,
he's
not
sick.
saying
I
not.
think he's bigger than Fears, right? A little bit. I was
Fears,
high on
yes, he's bigger than Fears.
I
Yeah.
had Fears
Yeah,
3.
you were. Oh,
So
I hate
Oh
Fears. I
wow,
don't.
yeah. I
Yeah,
had
I don't
Fears
like.
lower. I had Fears in the teens. Yeah.
I like Fears.
I think Jeremy Fears might be better than Jeremiah, to be honest. But
Jeremy Fears is actually, I think I have him somewhere early second. I think he's awesome,
Yeah, he's
but
a good
he
player. He's a
can't
good
fun.
shoot.
player.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know. I know it's been quite a bit already, but I think we covered the board pretty well. I don't know. There's not a ton more to say. I'll put some stuff on like Twitter and like the description. We'll figure out where we post this exactly. But yeah, Chuck, do you want to like talk about anything? Do you guys have anything else you want to add, or
Oh, where do you
Um,
guys have Abdallas? Because I had him pretty high,
I'm
but
not a
I
big up Dallas
I
guy.
did have him high, and I
moved him
just
down.
put him in the ground. I completed my funeral service for him recently, but I liked him a lot. Or like I mentioned in my podcast, there's a lot to be enticed by, but there
Exactly.
isn't. I watched like they've weirdly played like 3 overtime games already, and like one of them was like a 3 overtime game. So there's been plenty of like crunch time possessions that he just checks himself out of, like completely. Like I'm sitting in the corner because I'm tired, kind of stuff. And
Huh.
he has said things like the pace of the game is different, the physicality is different. I'm trying to get like situated. I wouldn't write him off as an NBA player, but I don't think he's declaring. I think he's a 27. Like he's got to spend a couple years in college and really get
I
his
mean, that
just
would
sort
probably
of
be
shape.
preferred, but I don't know if he's gonna end up doing. But we'll see. Yeah, I think he's like one of those guys. Like for eye test people, he's kind of like a scammer. Like you watch him, and you're like, "Oh, this guy's nice." But then if you really like dig in deeper, you start like just like
Yeah.
you start to realize, oh, there's a lot of stuff to work on.
Another guy who I think could have been in one of the maybe the first tier is Toppin.
Ooh.
I think he's you know I was what is this his third year
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but
third.
I've liked him. I kept thinking he was going to come out like for two
Well, they
years,
gave him
but
like 10 mil in
yeah,
one.
I
Yeah,
think
but
like he's if you're talking about these guys who are like yeah he's he's not a shooter or whatever, but like between the motor and just like the I could just see him being like a just a stud like
yeah.
defender and
I like
stuff.
Toppin, but I was looking at the numbers. I haven't watched Tech that much this year, but I was looking at the numbers, and he seems to really have dropped off. It seems like Anderson has kind of taken over as the guy there, and I think Toppin misses Darion Williams. I think
Oh,
Williams had a
I
lot.
love
Sure.
Darian.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
Darion
You were
definitely.
on Darian in his Nevada days, Evan,
Oh
as I
my God.
recall.
Like
Yeah.
it's just, what happens to me is like these, like I get, it's like, as I'm so high on a lot of these guys, like Will Richard, I loved at Belmont. And
Yeah,
then I'm
me
like,
too.
oh, I guess everybody hated him. So I kind of move off them and then I lose in steam. But it wouldn't at all surprise me if Darian Williams now, goes high and I'll be like, well, he's really unathletic. But like
He's got to
he's a
he's got to
curve
fight
player.
his teammate Quadir Copeland has kind of like
Oh,
taken over initiator stuff on that team.
yeah,
So
he's on my board.
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah,
Evan loves
they got to
Copeland too.
sort, they got to figure that out.
But I
Cuz
mean, he is so smart. If I had
Yeah, I
to
love
like,
that.
it's just if you're talking about the smart, I mean, he had it from day one. Like,
yeah, I tried early in the year to be like, is there like a Brunsony, AJ Mitchell spectrum that Darian could, but he just doesn't go to get to the line enough because he just
oh, he's
loves
just not a good
posting up
athlete. I,
so
I
Yeah,
think
he's a
much.
he's
Yeah.
terrible athlete.
he's
Yeah.
just
Terrible.
like the worst athlete.
Yeah.
So it's really bad. It's like you're hoping he's better than like Anthony Lamb. Like it's just the
Right.
athleticism is so bad
Yeah, I
that
agree.
But
And he's like
you
6'3", I think, or something.
no, he's bigger. No, he's like pretty stout. I think he's like 6'5", six
I
six.
think he is closer to 6'5", yeah. But
I know the tech assistant he gave me his measurements were really disappointing. I remember that.
Mm.
Yeah.
but yeah, Grib, in terms of guys we didn't talk about, the main ones I'd want to mention are the Baylor wings,
Oh,
Carr
Conde and
and
Fuso. Oh,
Yusufu.
Carr. I like Carr. I do like
Yeah.
Carr. Yeah.
So to me, we went to that like sort of uninspiring tier, the starting with acquaintance and going down to whatever 14. The car would be in that tier for me.
Yeah,
Like,
me too. I think I had him that high.
yeah, I like if you're gonna bet, and it's like I get the reluctance because he definitely has warts in his game, but the intercept, like clearly an NBA athlete, no question. Clearly an NBA shooter and like a talented NBA shooter,
Yeah.
no question. And I think does is not like a complete like low field passer. I think he's got some stuff there too. So I like to me that's a like a
What
easy lotto pick. Like would be a lotto pick in any year to
what
me.
about Jordan Poole? I think that's like an interesting comparison there.
I think he's a better athlete. I think like doesn't Carve like a 7'2" wingspan or something like
Yeah, he
that.
does have long ass arms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So he's a wild physical
He's got
specimen.
25 dunks for 6'5". That's like pretty fucking
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
he's insane. Like, but he also is like he has like dancer hips and is like extremely high waist, very skinny. I don't think that I guess sort of like a Koulibaly kind of thing, but no, he won't have the defensive reputation even that Koulibaly had coming into the league, and even that was like very hyped up. But like
Yeah.
I think that he's going to give a lot of ground and struggle on defense early in his career,
Yeah.
even though he has all this length. So I can understand some people being skeptical, but if he were like a former 5-star recruit or whatever, or maybe he was, I don't
He
even
was like
know.
top to 40, I think.
Was he? Okay, because I guess he was at Tennessee, so I guess he probably had some hype at some point. But like, he wasn't on boards entering the year, and if he were in the lotto entering the year, he'd be in the lotto right now, like no question. But
Yeah, yeah. No, I think he's higher on a lot of consensus boards actually also along with whoever I said who was like Mullins, yeah. Both of them actually do better on consensus than on the our spreadsheet nerds on Twitter
yeah,
community.
I don't think I had him on my board this high, but since I've moved him up, I think Burries should be in here
Oh
too.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
my guy
Oh
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been looking at him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's older freshman, but he can really play.
Yeah.
He's got some skill.
yeah. He reminds me kind of not exactly the same, but I think he's got a little bit of like Grimes in his game. And
That's
Yeah,
exactly the comp I came up with for him
yeah,
today.
that's pretty good. I
He
like
had an
that.
insane game, I guess, a couple days ago, like getting not to the line. I mean, like layups. Like he had like 11 layups, like and like six of them were unassisted. It was like it's like crazy amount of unassisted uh
Yeah.
layups,
yeah.
which is good.
And he looks like he will be able to like close out, stick on a drive. Like I just think he has like the power and force to be an
Yeah, yeah,
NBA
strong.
athlete.
Yeah,
So I like
yeah,
him.
got a good midsection.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to hype up Burries here, but my wife is giving me side eyes already. So,
Already, yeah, after only,
yeah,
you know,
only 2 hours.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
Okay.
shit, yeah, 2.5 almost. Jesus.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it
Well,
was great talking to you guys. Chuck, we'll have you on soon. We'll have some other we'll have everybody hopefully if they're up for it. And yeah, thanks for doing this and just please send me this file. Don't like delete it or anything. And yeah,
yeah, I will not. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later.
All right.
all right.
Bye guys.